Penetration Testing by Dougie Gray, Cody Kinney, and Jake Gray. The scope of our project was the client wants us to find vulnerabilities within a secret archive local system. The client understands that a simple port scan can down the app, and since we are just checking this remote system, there will be no social engineering. Our testing window was any time of any day. The contact was Mr. Brad Pitt, an actor, and we were to let him know of any findings as he has authorized this penetration test to find possible security threats. His contact information is we have signed a non-disclosure agreement in case we snoop in files. Also, we will be paid the gross sales of his latest movie for this. For information gathering, we have had our experts find Mr. Pitt's digital footprint online using freely available sources of information. Our passive reconnaissance, being that Mr. Brad Pitt is a very famous person, we have found things such as IP addresses, DNS records, some server information, and other vulnerabilities. Our active reconnaissance was connecting to Mr. Pitt's home server. We have found some anomalies as we have found the IP address of 192.168.56.101 connected. This IP is unlike any other things we have found from our passive reconnaissance, as well as the other things connected. We use our company programs to find open ports within the system.
Vulnerability assessment. Using our programs, we have found that the open ports for this particular system is 22 and 23. Using our knowledge, we know that port 22 is used for SSH and 23 is used for Telnet. Assessing these open ports, we have found that there's two viable options. Right. One, using a brute force attack to gain credentials. Services we can use can be things such as Metasploit. Two, using telnet commands for the open port 23 to try and gain access to the system and its contacts. Using this information, we will assume we try both ideas. This right here is the SSH, or is the codes to find the open ports. This is the vulnerability part. As you can see on the left side, there's bash scripts as well as a Python script. The bash script in the top right of the left side is to start the getIP.sh file, which is an Nmap scan where it just prints out the host, where it just prints out the IP host. And then from there, it turns into a text file, as you can see, an IP text on the right side. And from there, that is transferred to the Python file. From there, that is transferred to the Python file, where it is those IPs are used to find open ports. And on the right side, on the very right side, you can see the open ports for each IP address. Exploitation / vulnerability verification. Using our SSH attack using Metasploit, our team had no reasoning to use any findings of a telnet-related attack because we were able to find the information needed. The brute force attack was a success as we were able to use our findings from our active and passive reconnaissance to access the system. The information we found were many files such as info.txt, secret text, sensitive information, and vulnerable. You can see on the next slide, our findings included Brad's social security number. On the left picture here, you can see the output of the Metasploit console, and then us using its settings to set stop on success, set the host to the host we're trying to attack, setting the user files to a text file in which we use VI editor to add the stuff we used from our passive reconnaissance, as well as the passwords text as well, and then setting verbose to true. Using this, we did run, and we found that the password combination combo was MSF admin and 1234. Then from there, we started the session 1 which is the only session that was available at the time. And then we were then able to access the system using the password username combo. We were able to ls scan all the files available in the system, and you can see that there's info.txt, secret.txt, sensitive information, and vulnerable. And then so we used cat to display the contents of secret.txt and cat for info.txt. And we were able to find under info.txt, it says Brad's social security number. Please don't take my information.
Poist exploitation. We are able to access the secret system through a brute force penetration test to receive valuable data that belong to Mr. Brad Pitt. Our findings is that even though he has gone through security measures to try to maintain the system, the basic SSH port was open still, and we were able to access using a brute force attack just from information we have gathered from reconnaissance. We also found that none of the files containing any amount of sensitive data were encrypted, and we were easily able to access them and reveal the sensitive data. We recommend at this time that Mr. Pitt were to change his password to a very secure one and consult us on further measures to close ports for those vulnerable ones. Risk/exposure. The risks discovered here were open ports within the system that are vulnerable to attacks using SSH brute force tactics, as well as telnet penetration testing tactics. The loss estimated for Mr. Pitt would have been confidential information that could have negatively affected him if it were to be discovered. Us finding such information is a great reason that non-disclosure agreements are decided upon at first, to know that even though we saw this information, we were able to keep it confidential. And in conclusion, this project overviewed the many security fallacies within Mr. Pitt's secret system, in which he stores many different things that are confidential to him. This penetration test further proves the use for these kinds of tests for ethical hacking, to ensure the security relevancy of thinking like a hacker, to ensure privacy for clients. In a quote by Sun Tzu, "If ignorant both of your enemy and yourself, you are certain in every battle to be in peril."